Good afternoon. My name is Kathleen Cunningham. I'm the Executive Director of the Village Preservation Society, a local not-for-profit, the mission of which is to preserve historic structures, neighborhood character, and quality of life in the village of East Hampton and its surrounds. Each election cycle, it's our privilege to conduct conversations or debates for the town board and town supervisors candidates, and I'm welcoming you now to the Town Supervisors Candidates Debates. I'd like to introduce Deputy Supervisor Kathee Burke-Gonzalez, who is running for town supervisor on the Democratic line, and Dr. Gretta I, who's the Republican candidate for the same position. We'll open up with 90-second opening statements from each of our candidates. Then I'll go through a series of questions that'll stimulate some conversation, and we'll have 90-second closing statements, and then we'll be done. So thank you for tuning in, and I'll start by letting Kathee have the opening statement, please.
Great.
Okay.
Thank you, Kathee,
Sure.
and the folks at VPS for sponsoring today's discussion. I'm Kathee Burke-Gonzalez, and I have served on the East Hampton Town Board for the past 10 years, the last 3 years as Deputy Supervisor. Now I'm running for Town Supervisor, having been endorsed by the Democratic and Working Families parties, as well as the New York League of Conservation Voters and the Sierra Club. And I'm truly excited about the opportunity before me. Since I first announced my intent to run, I've done a lot of reflecting on how I got to this point where I'm qualified to be the next East Hampton Town Supervisor. Like many folks, my professional career has included a number of chapters. Chapter 1 started with a 30-year career as an advertising professional, where I fine-tuned my strategic planning, project management, and leadership skills. Here I learned the importance of communication and teamwork. Chapter 2 began in 2004 when my son started kindergarten. Not one to sit on the sidelines, I was elected to the spring school board and served 9 years, the last 2 years, as the board president. This experience gave me a firm foundation in budget management, contract negotiations, and facilitating open, inclusive meetings. Chapter 3 began in 2013 when I was first elected to the town board. The town has a $90 million budget. We are the largest employer from Wainscott to Montauk, and we have critical issues that need our immediate attention. But with our caring and knowledgeable staff and an engaged public, we can work together to move our community forward. Thank you.
Well, that's what happens.
I had a
when
little
we run
soundtrack
out,
under
when
there.
we run out of time. I'm gonna have to turn that off too. Where is Kai when I need him? Okay, Gretta, it's your turn.
Good afternoon. I would like to thank you for the opportunity of being here today. My name is Dr. Gretta I. I'm seeking election for East Hampton Supervisor. I was born in Costa Rica when I was brought over here at 3 weeks old. I was brought into East Hampton Town, where I grew up, and I attended East Hampton Public Schools. I attended the East Hampton Elementary School, the middle school, and then I was fortunate enough to be at the Ross School for high school. I studied abroad for college. I have a BA in translation and English teaching, a master's in project management, and I'm a doctor in dental sciences, all from ULACIT in Costa Rica. And lastly, a master's in science and organizational dynamics from UPenn. I'm here today representing the local community and an everyday person in our community, the resident that wants transparency and understanding. The current government has one-party rule. It's really, really bad. Have no oversight and they have no accountability, and it's hurting us. It's hurting the generations that are here now, and it's hurting the future generations to come. There are basic issues, and we're hearing basically our excuses. I have to say that I've been here for most of my life, and I hear the same things. We need answers, transparency, and accountability. It just can't be to please people. It needs a balance in government. So thank you so much for having me today.
Oh my gosh. I have to tell you, my grandson put that on for me, and wait till they hear this, honest to Pete. Okay, all right.
That's great.
All right, so we started with you on the opening statements, Kathee, so I think I'll start with Gretta on the first question. Gretta, what is your vision for East Hampton?
Well, my vision for East Hampton is what has not been done so far. I think that there has been a lack of leadership And I would like to change that so that East Hampton carries on the legacy of the families that have been here for generations. And that is only done by not having so much turnover in our community. I say that because I grew up in the area, but a lot of my generation has been missing. It's not here anymore. It can't be here. It's not affordable, and it's very hard to stay here. So I really would like to see that we can carry our parents' legacy and stay in the area and be here and be proud to be here, because I grew up here. I would love my children to grow up here. So, and all the work effort that my parents put into us being here, that should be able to carry on. So that's what I want for East Hampton and the future generations.
Okay, great. Okay, Kathee.
Sure, thank you. So I want East Hampton to remain a beautiful and extraordinary place to live, work, and raise a family. And I've identified 3 strategies if I'm so fortunate enough to be elected to the town supervisor. Our administration will be working to preserve our community, investing in our future, and modernizing town government. For me, preserving our community for our kids means supporting quality childcare and after-school care and expanding adolescent mental health services. For our seniors, it means providing bus transportation to doctor's appointments and shopping, wellness classes, and a nutrition program 5 days a week, and a new senior center on Abraham's Path. For our hardworking families, it means providing affordable housing opportunities so that everybody has a chance at being financially stable and secure and having a path forward here. And investing in our future means protecting water quality, preserving open space, and reducing greenhouse gases.
Oh my gosh. Sorry. Okay. You could, is that good?
That's fine. I can
Okay,
stop
all right,
there.
great.
There'll be other opportunities, I'm
Okay,
sure.
I think so too. Okay. Okay, Kathee, I'm going to start with you on this
Sure.
one. Do the present regulations governing house size comport with the town's energy policies? And assume, if depending on your response, what might be changed to better align these goals?
Sure. So I'm not sure if everyone knows that back in May, my colleague on the board, Councilmember Kate Rogers, started a zoning amendment work group, and we've been working towards amending the zoning code because it really hasn't been looked at in probably 20 years or more since the comprehensive plan was adopted in 2005. So we have a public hearing coming up where we've revised a new draft for the purposes of zoning. We do believe that in the current purposes, climate change is never mentioned, nor is resiliency.
Wow.
So we've expanded the purposes. The next project that we're working on is the dimensional table and the definitions. So this is an ongoing process when we'll be looking at that. In the meantime, the current code, we're going to have a presentation on Tuesday at our work session where we're going to be reviewing the stretch energy code. You know, houses have to go through the HERS rating if they're over 4,500 square feet. So in order to make that happen, folks are using you have to use solar.
Right.
Some folks are using closed loop geothermal systems.
Right.
And so I think, a change to the dimensional table is coming soon.
Okay, great. Okay, Gretta?
Well, I would say that I'm not very familiar with this topic, but I from what I heard, I know that there's a lot of problems with the zoning right now. I think it's past the time that we actually needed to take on this action. I think that has been something that's been a lack of town board. I really feel strongly about that. We have nowhere to put affordable housing anymore. There's nowhere more to build. It's really sad to see this. I grew up and there was so much land, so much ways to build, so much opportunity to actually create these affordable housing. And reviewing the code until now, why not do this before? I mean, what stopped them from doing it? If it's been 10 years or more, it's an ongoing process. That's what the whole thing is. It's always an ongoing process with town board. Ongoing this, ongoing that. I don't think that's the solution. Give us a solution. That's what I'm asking for. So, and I think the community is too.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Okay, on sort of the same topic, I started with you last time, right? So I'll start with Gretta. Greta, what are your thoughts on density and the impacts of population intensification on the natural and built environments? Should the town begin to consider limits on the numbers of people living here? Would you recommend legislation to control the growth of Airbnb and other hostelries?
Well, we have a problem right now with density, and it's been a problem for probably more than 10 years. So I think that there is a problem there. Town board would probably know best. I think that they haven't just been able to set limits on town code, and then this is why we have an overpopulation of area here. But it's not being directed in any way because we don't have land. That goes back to the same problem. Affordable housing, where are we going to put it? I know that there's units that can be made, but not everyone can do that. Not everyone has the property to do that. So I think that we do have to consider, taking into account Airbnb's population and looking into studies that actually will help the community with all this and mitigate the problems that we're seeing right now because town board has not done that before.
Okay. Thank you. Kath?
So what I'd like to say is that if you look at the census data from 2010 to 2020, the year-round population grew 32%. And we believe that that is an understatement because the census was conducted in April of 2020, and that's when we were all just shutting down.
Right.
We know what happened to the real estate market during COVID. It went sideways, and there are a lot of folks that are living here. And that has, put pressure on our infrastructure. It's put pressure on our services here in town. And that's part of why I want to talk about modernizing town government. Now, regarding Airbnbs, they are an issue. The good news is that we have a fully staffed ordinance enforcement department, including the director. We have 12 officers and inspectors in that department. We do surveillance on Airbnb listings. And we just tried with subpoenaing Airbnb for records for a particular home in Montauk that was problematic. Judge Tukolsky signed the subpoena. It was been fully briefed, and we're waiting for Judge Ranner to rule. If that ruling comes back favorably, we have a new tool in the toolbox to crack down on Airbnbs.
Oh, that's good news. I didn't know that. Okay. I'm sorry, I started with you. Okay, so it's Kathy's turn. I'm writing it down, but it doesn't seem to be helping. Okay, what did we learn from the COVID-19 pandemic, and is the town better prepared for the next one?
One of the things we learned is what an incredible community we had. Supervisor Van Scoyoc got the vaccines out here because they were impossible to come by. You had to travel far west in order to get a vaccine. We converted the CDCH building into a facility. Our volunteer EMTs showed up. Other folks came out in direct traffic, ran the technology, and it was a tremendous effort. And what a warm and beautiful community we have here. The second thing we did with our human services, they were kind of on the front lines. We wanted to keep our seniors safe because they were the most susceptible. And while we were in shutdown, we served over 88,000 meals for seniors. Seniors came and picked them up. We delivered them. It was an incredible effort. What evolved out of that, as far as our nutrition program is concerned, is that, there are still seniors that come to the nutrition center every day, to get their hot meal and their socialization and whatever, because we do have an epidemic of loneliness. Surgeon General has declared that. But we also now have a grab and go program, which we never had before. So folks can come and pick up 5 frozen meals a week, and it includes, fruit and bread and milk and whatnot. And that is a tremendous, ease, for folks that are on fixed income or, really don't want to cook for one person.
Right.
So that's been tremendous.
I'm going to have to ask you to wrap up.
Okay,
Sorry.
I'll stop here.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Greta?
So what we learned from COVID-19 was that we have to be more empathetic and have more sympathy towards people. Understand the differences that we each live It's very hard to do that sometimes because there's closed door policy even in town board. I have to say that it doesn't feel like it's welcoming. So from the pandemic, what I learned is that you have to reach out to your community, to your neighbors, really get to know them. I also learned that things can be done online, but we need good cell service and we need good telecommunications. So I carried about online different aspects. I was on the board of dentistry in Costa Rica, and that was still going on. So I have to say that if we don't have stable telecommunications, we can't do that again. You know, we need that to be fixed. The emergency center, we should have probably had that open too, just in case. That should have probably been done years ago, just because that would have helped Southampton Hospital. So, yes, that's what I think that we also have the fact that the senior center would have mitigated a lot of people too and helped them, that they had a place to be there and feel like they had a place to, you know, I know we were in the shutdown, but it's a place to reach out for even information or something that they might need at that specific moment, including with the programs that were already taking place. So it was something that would help. So thank you.
Okay.
Can I just add?
Yeah, sure.
Two things. One thing, as far as human services, during COVID, when we were in lockdown, we were calling seniors every week. And some folks, that was the only call they might have gotten that day. We also have an RSVP program in town where the town gives grant money and they get folks reach out to seniors who may be shut-ins. Regarding cell service, obviously it was taxed. There were so many people living here, so many people have devices. We have taken a methodical approach. I think I just need to state that the town does not provide cell service. The providers like AT&T and Verizon do, but we can help facilitate it to make it easy, and that's why we've hired Cityscape. We're going through a master plan process.
It hasn't
And I'll
been
leave
done
it
yet. It hasn't been done. That should have been done years ago. So that's my point. If we better our structure, then we would have had better telecommunications for a lot of people, even for people who were learning online. That would have opened our horizons. So something that to take into consideration.
Okay. All right, thanks. Okay, Greta,
Yes.
it's your turn. How can code enforcement be more effective or better supported?
I think code enforcement needs to be better supported by having more employees and alleviating the time that each employee has to spend on, you know, on board or on a job site. So if we create more jobs, more people, but that goes hand in hand with a lot of problems. Affordable housing, we don't have that. Salaries, they're not high enough for people to actually live out here, you know, without affordable housing. So how do we tackle just one thing? If town board hasn't been able to really come up with a plan for this, because there's so much turnover, there's people in there that work, but then they're traveling from up island and then they can't come back anymore because it's a 45-minute drive there and the trade parade might be maybe 2 hours. You never know. So there's traffic involved. There's so many things that are involved that we have to focus on first so that code enforcement and all these people who work there have the opportunity to be in a setting that is decent for them. So
We made it, right? Sorry.
That stresses me too. I'm like, is that gonna sound or is
And I
it?
can't
How are
get
you
it
gonna
to
edit that?
get it to shut off. Max is gonna have a good laugh about this. Okay, Kathee.
Great. So I will say that during the summer season, we start in late April through September. All of the enforcement agencies meet once a week. And that includes the chief of police, the chief fire marshal, the head of code enforcement, the head of planning. We've got myself, the supervisor, the town attorney's office, and the Marine Patrol. And we meet and we talk about, you know, what's coming up, what happened the weekend before, how do we get ahead of things. And I have to say that we have tremendous cooperation across all of the agencies. They work as a team out there, particularly on the summer nights on the weekends. We have a new position in the budget for a supervisory position in code enforcement. The budget came out on Friday. The supervisor put that in there. All the folks at code enforcement have iPads so that they don't have to come back to the office. Everybody is linked. We have an online complaint system, and when a complaint gets entered, it goes to all of the enforcement agencies. And so there's a great deal of cooperation that's going on.
Can I
That's good to
add
know.
something to that?
Sure.
Is that probably okay? I think that we have to make the town board environment and the town environment where people work better, more approachable. I've heard this from people who work in town. I can't approach these people because it's closed door. And I go back to the same thing of like it's a burden. If you go to work, you want to be happy at work. You want to be partaking in your job and really feel the power of getting to work and be like, yes, I'm going to participate. I'm going to be really active, love my job. But if you don't have that community, then how are you going to get to work and not feel miserable every day and, wake up and feel that burden on you? So I think that we have to change really the support that they have in town so that the employees feel better about their jobs.
And I will say that part of the thing that I talk about in modernizing town government is to support the advancement and development of our staff, getting them professional development and training, which they've asked for. And I think that you get more out of people when they feel fulfilled, they feel seen, and we will do that if we're elected in the next administration.
Okay, thanks. So we all, excuse me, I started with,
It's my turn.
okay, thank you for keeping track. We all know that water quality issues are a really big concern for us, and the town has the rebate program, and this county has a rebate program for these innovative alternative, which I like to call low nitrogen systems, because some of my people call it AI. It's not
Instead of
AI,
IA.
Yeah, it's not artificial intelligence, it's innovative alternative. And it's a little confusing for people out in the regular world to get this, but I think that education is happening. But what are your plans to help promote that and continue that? Because without good water quality, that's a huge quality of life issue.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And I know since this is the Village Preservation Society, the town we've got the water quality, CPF water quality money, and we have given grants to the village in the last couple of years for $1.2 million. That was to dredge the town pond, to upgrade the septic system, put in an IA system at Herrick Park, and we're also doing it, they've got the grant funding to do it at the Main Beach Pavilion. So that's a tremendous opportunity since so many folks go through there. I think it would make sense to, that's a perfect opportunity to educate. We should have some kind of sign, kiosk, whatever, at those facilities so that folks know about the program. We have tremendous staff in our natural resources department. Melissa Winslow is like the czar of water quality, and I get emails from folks all the time how helpful she's been getting them through the process of the septic incentive program. We have had, I believe, somewhere around 1,100 applications. I believe over 550 new septic systems have been installed.
Oh, that's good news. I didn't know
So it's we're making progress. I think from what I understand, it's gotten people are coming forward now that you no longer get a 1099 from
Right, yeah, that
the
changed,
county.
that helped, yeah.
And I think people are more incentivized to upgrade their septic system.
Okay, great. Greta?
Well, I think we have to look into studies so that we can create better septic IAs and apply them to the properties. This has probably been going on, water quality issues, since maybe even past 2015. So imagine.
Oh, no question, yeah.
Imagine what we're dealing with. And the same thing, town board goes the same way, and we're still waiting for these systems to be put in and to help people get these systems up and running. That's just not enough. That's not enough systems for the housing that we have. So if we don't really tackle this, I mean, what are we doing? What is it leading to? What is it going to lead to? It's scary. And I have to say that with the information that's provided, it's very limited. I looked into it, and it's very limited. If you go to Suffolk County, then you have to go there, then you have to go into town. There should be more accessibility for this. If the town is really, really rooting for this, they should be more accessible. They should have more information booths, and they should really dedicate themselves to this.
Tried to stop it before the song. Thank you. Did you?
No, it's fine.
Okay. Okay, well, we're practically at the end of this. I think we should probably go into our 90-second closing statements. So Greta, I'll start with you, please.
Sure.
And I will time you again with my magic timer here. Okay.
East Hampton needs someone who is new, a new face for the community. I'm here, I've been here for my whole life, but someone who is leading because they care. They care for the people, they care for the members, and someone who's deliberate and just transparent. That's what I wanted to bring to the table, transparency. There has been a lack of transparency throughout this whole 10 years of my life that haven't been able to recognize. I can't. East Hampton deserves a person who knows what they want to do. The one-party rule has a bunch of bureaucrats that really have done the same thing over and over again. It hasn't been helpful. And I ask them to please respond to us. Be open-doored. The airport is a priority in this town. The people come first. Because of the people, everyone in town board has a job. So we have to invest in our community. We have to invest in our people. These nonsense of litigations back and forth are not getting anywhere. It's not going anywhere. You're wasting taxpayers' money, and it should be put into developing other things that we really need in this community. There's no transparency. I have not seen answers. Really, there's no accountability. It goes back and forth, and in this, maybe next time, maybe this time, maybe in 2 years. No, we need this to be done now. So I'm humbly asking you for your support, your vote on November 7th, so I can be elected town supervisor and really stand forth to the community. So thank you. Thank you for having me too.
Sure. Thanks for that. Okay, Kathee.
Thank you again, Kathee, for today's discussion. And a big shout out to LTV for their professionalism as always. They're a dream to work with. My years of public service have been firmly rooted in my core values: family, hard work, compassion for one another, and respect for the environment. However, these last few years have been challenging, to say the least, as the global pandemic has changed so much about our lives. These profound shifts require a change in the way local government operates, as we need to respond to and manage the change. Or put another way, we need to modernize the way we do business, and that's what our administration will do if we are elected. I'm asking for your vote on November 7th, as our community needs experienced, compassionate leadership. We need David Lease and Tom Flight for town board, and we need myself, Kathee Burke-Gonzalez, for town supervisor. Thank you.
Okay, great. No birdies. That works great. Okay. All right. Well, that brings our town supervisors candidates debate conversations to a close. I want to thank both of you. I think it was an interesting discussion, lively. And I would like to close by urging all of you to vote, as my dad would say. If you don't vote, you lose your right to complain. So get out there on November 7th and cast your ballot. Thanks very much, and LTV, thanks again so much for a wonderful program.